Hey guys, Anthony, 4x4 Diesel. This is going to be a 10 videos in one. We got a whole heap of information we're going to cram into about 10 minutes. So 10 different subjects. This one, injector solenoids. Some people look at their injectors, whether it's a 1KD or any other Denso injector, and they seem to be a bit worried or concerned depending what color it is. You know, they go, oh, mine are this color, mine are that color. So they're not sure if they're genuine or not. So let's just have a look at a few of these. You tell me what color are they? You know, a lot of people I can tell you would say they're a bit of a brown color. I can tell you they sort of pretty much, they do vary in color, what color they're meant to be, and they even change. Because look, let me come around this side and things, I don't know if you can see what, you know, again, can you see what I see? But look, inside there, this side actually looks a little bit purple. So they are often a purpley colour, purpley red, sometimes they're really dark, sometimes they're brown, they're often grey, but the key thing is if you got them from me, don't worry about what colour they are because they're brand new, genuine injectors. And we group our injectors in manufacture month 99% of the time. Sometimes you can't do that, so we'll have some that are mixed, you know, they might be March, April, May, that sort of thing, but generally we'll put all the March, all the April, all the May together. But even if they're in the same month, we see some different colours in these solenoids. Let's go and have a look at a set on a new engine and see what they look like. So this is a new engine and they're a lot more grey looking, but I can tell you, I don't know whether you can see it or not, but there's a tinge of purple in them, okay? So I've got to tell you, sometimes they're really clean grey, sometimes they're really purple, and sometimes they're anything in between. And the set you get, they may be all the same colour or they could vary slightly. You may have one or two that are this colour and one or two that are slightly, you know, some are more grey or red than others. Anyway, I've taken a bit too long on the injector solenoid subject, so we'll move on to the next one. Again, on a 1KD, we're looking at the, let me get this right, inlet manifold side of the engine. I've got to think because sometimes I easily go exhaust, or I'll get it the wrong way around. Anyway, a lot of people say, hey, where does the plate, this 7mm plate, whatever. So we're going to show you a bit of detail. It's pretty, where does it go? Well, you can see it right there, right? We might have showed you this before in other videos. All right, so when you take your e-jack, I'm not telling you what to do, I'm just telling you where, you know, whoever designed this, the first person that used one, I think that's where they put it, and that's where it works really well because there's no oil there, so that hole doesn't block up. And you get them from kaon.com.au, made in Australia, or off eBay on Kaon 4x4. And make sure you put in the notes, Anthony told me so. You know, I know everything I need to know because Anthony told me so. Anyway, there it is, the 7mm hole reduces the e-jar flow. That's where it goes. That's the only place it goes. If you put it at the other end, it may and most likely will cause problems. This is the inlet side of the engine. Moving on to the next topic. As we always say, be very careful where you go and who you let work on your vehicle. So what's happened here is it worked out pretty well actually. Well, we've got to strip the components off this engine to put on the other engine. And as you can see, cut the pipes off with bolt cutters. Now why would that be? I've done a few of these and I generally don't see issues. I've got to be quite honest here, in all the years I've been doing 1KD injectors, I've never had one of these nuts that I couldn't get undone, and to be honest, even close to couldn't get undone. I've had them where they've been really butchered up, and this isn't butchered up, right? That's not butchered up yet, but I've had them where they're really butchered up. I've had to file the corners off to get the tool on there, but I've always been able to open the nut, we'll call it, right? But in this case, I don't know where the vehicle's been. Obviously the pops have been off. You can see the surface rust. I'll say that this vehicle has seen too much salt water, because to have rust like that on those nozzle seals, I've again seen a lot of these, I don't see that. So interesting, very interesting. The point is, careful where you go, because when you've got an engine that's this filthy and you let someone take your fuel pipes off, most likely that's going to cause some contamination and the injectors aren't going to end up working properly. And the evidence that that's happened is the fact that they won't come undone. It could be the salt air and the rust and the corrosion that's seized them up, but I'm more of a belief that they've probably been over tightened, and that's maybe the combination of the two even. But look, you know, 32 Newton meters on new pipes, 35 when reusing them a second time, and I'll go 36, 37 for the third time, and the fourth time is throw them in the bin. Anyway, just be careful where you take the vehicle. Don't over tighten the fuel pipes, and don't let them take the pipes off for any reasons, because there's a risk of contamination. As you can see, all the mess around here, and what's likely to happen at the injector inlet if those pipes were removed without things being clean and in the right conditions and taking extreme precautions. The next topic is why we recommend using genuine coolant. And this is why. Have a look in there. We need to turn the light. So we've got the light on. See that? That is like a brand new engine. Okay, brand new. There's no rust, there's no corrosion, there's nothing like it. The stuff is awesome. And one of the most important things with engine coolant is not to have mixes. So you don't want to have a bit of this and a bit of that. And if you go to change to different coolant, there's a good chance that you didn't get it all out and then you've got a mix, which can cause more harm than good. So why don't we all just stick to genuine Toyota coolant. Super long life coolant. It's well priced at under $40 a bottle, I believe, for 5 litres. You don't need more than 2. Even once the vehicle gets a bit older, you're going to do it every 2 or 3 years, I'd recommend. Just drop it out and refill it. You're going to use about 8 litres. That's the stuff. Have a look at it. Clean like new. Okay, this is on a Prado. On the side of the sump, there is a oil level warning, which I've personally in my vehicle, even on hills, never seen that oil level warning light go off. But I have heard of other people having that. And I think there might have been one person I've ever heard of in the last 10 years that may have had an issue with one. So obviously I thought I'd show you where it is. Well, we've got an engineer to have a look at and see where it is. You can see clearly there's 4 10mm bolts, which will be M6s, and a plug. So you're going to ask me, do I have to drain the oil to change it? I don't know, but whoever Googles how to change this isn't going to find this video most likely. So it doesn't really matter. It's only the people that are subscribed with a bell on that have seen it. So then when it happens, they already know, or they can tell their friend because their friend's asking them. So subscribe, turn the bell on, hit the like button, all that stuff. And in the comments, let us know, have you had a problem with your oil level switch, had to replace it all? This is on the Prados. Pretty sure I'd have to have a look at a Hilux, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. We're just having a bit of a giggle because we're in one of our local 4x4 parks, and one of the guys here, he's got the 1GD Hilux, and the oil light came on. It's this level sensor when you park on a steep hill, can happen, and that happened in the Hilux on the 1GD. So there you go, it does happen. 2 more important bits of information. The oil leak, this plug here, we're under the vehicles, we're doing the inspections with you, and we're looking up towards the starter motor. It normally sits about here. There's the plug, that's it. There's your 10mm, there's your plastic. How to tell if a vehicle's got a really new engine? They won't necessarily have that plastic plug. Okay, now I know a lot of the engines we've replaced or seen replaced or supplied the engines, they did used to come and we had to put this plug in there. But in recent times, what would you say, in the last year probably, so sometime in 2020 we believe, perhaps the engines went to a different manufacturer. There's quite a few things change in the supply of the engines, so we do believe they're fresh. And that plug, it's not there, it's the casting's different, it's just all it's all closed up. So that's the first thing. And a lot of people are asking when they do their coolant changes how to get the coolant out. There's a block drain plug here, see, it hides in there, right? So basically, this thing here is your oil cooler, so it's full of coolant. So the coolant is actually cooling the oil down to that temperature. This is your oil cooler. This is your oil pressure switch. And here there's nothing missing on. Some people, it's good if you watch the video, see, because you get all this information. Because when you're working on your vehicle and you go, oh, what's missing off there? Nothing's missing off there. You can fit a hose to drain the coolant if you like, but there's no need to. It's a 10mm, like a tapered seat. That's brass going into alloy, so don't over tighten it because you'll rip the alloy thread out, because brass is very hard and strong compared to alloy. So it's just a tapered seat. I don't know the torque setting. I'd take a guess at probably about 10 or 15 probably would be all it needs to, if it's leaking, you'll see it dripping out here. So you don't take it out, you just loosen that plug off, maybe 1 or 2 turns, and you'll see it running out here slowly while you're draining your radiator. And I'd suggest a lot of times you don't need to do that, as I've mentioned in videos. If you're doing your water pump, you're probably going to all the coolant's going to come out there, or dropping that bottom hose from the header tank is going to get more coolant out than taking this plug out. So anyway, it's there anyway, just so we'd let you know. A couple other things. There is meant to be a foam insulation in here. There usually is around the glow plugs, and it often goes hard and it goes to pieces, and it's quite difficult to change and refit in there when you're doing a manifold refit or whatever. I have seen engines that not us but other people have changed and they've left that out and they're running happy days, no dramas. So I believe that if you don't put that in there, it's not going to cause too many dramas. And the positive of it all is, when you wash the engine out properly, you may be able to wash all this muck out, because when the foam's there, as you can see, that's a valley there, and you could bury dead bodies down in there. There's that much depth to it. No, not really, it's not that deep. That's the bottom of the, but see how it all gets down in there, right down in there, and you're never going to be able to wash that out. Not that it matters, but just saying, if your foam up here is no good, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. I probably wouldn't, if it was my car, I probably wouldn't buy another one. I'd probably just leave it out, you know.
Same here.
What would you do? Same, yeah, so we're the same. There's a foam around the front here. Sometimes people forget to put that in. To be quite honest, I think this is more of an insulation to stop the engine noise a little bit, yeah? I don't know, I'm not the engineer. Would that probably be right? Mainly to stop noise. What else is it going to do?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, me either. So we're not sure. You can put it in the comments if you know more than us, because we don't know everything. We're just parts fitters like engines and stuff like that, you know. Stay tuned for the video when we strip this one down. Number 1, exhaust port wet. Number 2, dry. Number 3, wetter. And number 4, wettest. So it'll be interesting to see the results of which pistons are cracked. Hopefully just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, or with 4 cracks in each one. Anyway, be very interesting. Stay tuned. That's your thermostat, right? In case anyone goes, hey, you know, oh, and they've pulled that top housing off on the head. Bzz, incorrect. It's down here. It's a really painful position to get to when you've got to change it in the vehicle. The good news is, don't change the thermostat, don't touch it, because A, these seals don't leak, and very rarely do we see any issues with your thermostat. And if there is an issue, it's usually just at idle and it's a degree or 2 or 3 out. I changed the thermostat on my 120. I should have never touched it, because now it idles at 85 instead of 83. The positive is, obviously, it works fine throughout the rest of the range. It just starts off, you know, a couple of degrees warmer than the others. So there's nothing wrong with the old one. It's still on the shelf. One day we might put the old one back in there. They're only 20 bucks, but it's a pain to get to this area, to get to these bolts. You've got to remove the airbox out of the way. What else? Once you get the airbox out, look, you can get in there. It's just fiddly, because you've got your alternator here and your aircon compressor here, and you don't have to remove the compressor. It's been a while since I've changed one, but it's mainly the airbox and maybe that duct, you know, to the turbos about here somewhere. Anyway, just don't change it, don't touch it. If the engine's out, obviously it comes off. To be quite honest, after the experience of replacing with a new one, being 2 degrees out, I'll say put the original one back in there and just put the new O-ring. Happy days. Like these gaskets we replace, all that sort of stuff. You could reuse it, a lot of people do that. You get what you pay for. We do things properly, you know how it works. This is going to need to be one of those videos where you really put a note on it and not forget, because we're going to have a look at where these vacuum line goes. You know, you can see the pink and the yellow up the top. This is the one that goes on the, oh, where does that go? You know, it goes on the EJAR cooler, right? But this is an opportunity to have a look at all the vacuum lines and where they go. We're going to have a look at this stay. So the bottom bolt, when you're working on your injectors, when you do the manifold, you may want to take the whole stay bracket off. The only thing left holding this there is these 2 vacuum lines at the top here, right? See that one and that one. So if you slip those off, then this whole thing comes off as an assembly. Note that this bottom bolt can be a little bit difficult. That one there can be a little bit difficult to get started, all right, because it's in an awkward position. So when you're doing injectors and stuff like that, you don't take the bottom one out. You loosen it off a bit. You take this top one out. The top one goes into the side of the manifold, and that obviously allows that to move around enough to get to all your fuel pipes and everything like that. But this isn't an injector replacement video. Those are in the VIP group. This is just heaps of extra bonus for information. So have a good look around. The yellow one, here you go. The yellow one comes down, around, comes into the side of that T-piece and goes straight into that line there, the one on the right, that is. Then the T-piece, okay, let's go, the pink one here, comes down, goes straight into that top VSV, right, with it, the one with it. So we've got 3, 1, 2, 3. We'll go orange, grey, orange if you like. Right, the one that comes up to the EJAR cooler comes down to the middle grey VSV at the top. the T-piece, the one that comes down in the middle of the picture at the back there, comes down to another T, and then that T goes into the bottom one at the grey, right? And then it continues down further and it goes to the bottom one. And then the top one of the bottom VSV comes up and there's another T, and that T is off, and if you follow that one down, 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 one goes down to the engine mounts, right? So hopefully, don't be confused with this here. This is for the oil filter. If you take it off at the wrong time and it pulls into there, it goes in. So don't look at that one there. Just look at the one with the protection over it that goes to the engine mount. So in this video, you can refer back to check your vacuum lines. Oh, where do they go? Because I've sort of gone on every angle slowly to show you where they go. So this is one of those gold plated videos that you're not going to get this information anywhere else. You know, you couldn't find that if you Googled it. Anyway, there it is. What else? What else? Okay, on the front of the engine here, we've got the vacuum pump. I haven't got much to say about it. I don't see issues with them. Every now and then you get the O-rings leak a lip. They don't leak. They weep and they make a bit of mess like this. And that may not be what's going on here because there's a bit of other oil leaked around from removing engines. But there's an O-ring or two in there, just like there is on the supply pump and behind there on the vane pump and all that sort of thing. But it is part of service procedure on some models to replace this pump or the seals or the something or some part of it. I'm sort of look, I don't know. I mean, you need to monitor because you might notice your brakes are getting kind of like not as effective. And look, when it comes to brakes, it's only the older cars, the 120s, that rely on this. This vacuum pump, it's all mainly now for, because you've got the traction control, you've got that other master cylinder. It's all mainly for all this gear, which it's not really a safety thing. And the fact that we just never see any issues with them, personally, I wouldn't be too worried about changing it as prevention as far as service goes. That's my opinion anyway, but you may want to follow Toyota's directions, whatever. Have a look down the back here. We've got half of the Murray River or something down in there. So yeah, just, you know, you can take the V's vehicles a lot of places, but you probably need to be a bit more careful where you take them and give them a clean up. Anyway, guys, that's a video. That's as much as I think I can think of for one video. I said 10 minutes. I said 10 subjects, but I've lost count. I don't know if I've done 8 or 12, and it's about that time. So, like I said, hit the like button if you liked it and learned something out of that. Save it and store it and all that sort of thing. You know, if you press like, it saves in your liked video. So then when you want to refer back to it, yeah, it's easy to find. Subscribe, turn the bell on, more info coming your way soon. See ya.